Interesting. Very interesting. Your body is a wonderland. Yeah, hello? No, I'm not doing anything right now. Yeah, I'm reading it. Well, of course it's in Japanese. No, I can't read Japanese. Well, I just like to look at the pictures. Make a video on John Mayer's 2021 pedalboards? Okay, I can do that. Alright you guys, so on today's episode we're going to be going over 3 different pedal boards that we've seen from John in 2021 here around the time of Saw Brock releasing, and as of right now it's out. Personally, I'm really liking the album. I know some people aren't, but I'm loving it and really warming up to it. Before we get into these 3 boards, my friend Alejandro, who runs the John Mayer Gear Instagram page, he's also making a post right now at the same time that I'm releasing this video. We decided to release them together. So once you're done watching my video here, go to Instagram, go to his page, and give his post some love. Okay, so the first pedal board of the 3 we're going to be discussing is what I call the Last Train Home pedal board, because John used this board for both performances of Last Train Home on Jimmy Kimmel and on Jimmy Fallon. They probably were recorded around the same time, and he built this board and designed it specifically to perform all the tones he needed for Last Train Home, nothing more and nothing less. Now, up until very, very recently, we were 99.9% sure of what was on his pedal board, but then Greg Phalanges posted on his Instagram a picture of David Riot Harris and Isaiah Sharkey, and probably unintentionally, he also got a pretty clear shot of John's pedal board that they used in the studio for these performances. This picture turned that 99.9% certainty into 100% certainty on a few things, but also changed what we thought one pedal was and actually opened up a can of worms in terms of the mystery of what John is actually using on this pedal board. So the pedal board that you're seeing on screen is actually a replica that I've built of this pedal board that John used, and I've been messing around with some of the tones in it, and clearly it does nail that Last Train Home thing with the chorusing and everything. We're going to talk about signal chain and this mystery pedal now and some theories behind it. So before Greg posted this picture, we were extremely clear that John was using a Polytune into a 29 pedals Una. The Una, if you don't know, is a very unique kind of magical buffer pedal that really changes your tone in terms of buffering and makes sure your signal stays strong, and it also has a 3-setting EQ on it that's really unique and I actually quite enjoy. Now, due to the shape and everything where the knob was, my friend Jake Loosemore actually was the one who figured out that this was a 29 pedals Una, and when we were all messaging together, he sat there and was like, "Guys, I think that might be a Una," and sure enough, he was right. Based on the shape and everything, it was clear that this was a Una, and obviously now with the picture from Greg, we know for 100% certainty that it is a Una that was used on this pedal board. After the 29 pedals Una, John had a Keeley looper on, and this is where kind of the signal chain changes and we have a very strong theory as to what John did. The Keeley looper inside of it had the TS10, the pedal next to the TS10 that I'm going to talk about in a minute. It also had the Boss CE2, of course, blacked out like John had it for the 2019 World Tour, and the Providence Chrono delay. Now, all John needed to do is play his clean tone and then step on the Keeley looper, and all 4 of those pedals were activated at once, instantly changing him from having his clean tone when he's playing those intro chords to his searing lead tone. And especially on a TV performance, he did not want to be tap dancing or messing around. One step, his tones completely changed from one to the other. The last pedal on the board, which I believe was not in the Keeley looper, is the Strymon Flint, just to add a little bit more reverb overall to his sound and last in the chain. Now, as I mentioned, the pedal after the TS10, well, on this pedal board that you're looking at right now that I've replicated here, we initially thought this was a Way Huge Octopus MK3. The size appears to be right, and the top mounted jacks, and then once you look at the pictures that now I'm going to show you on the screen here of the very first performance on Kimmel, the way the lighting looks and everything, you can kind of see the tan color around the knobs, and you could be forgiven to think that that pedal might be blue in color and just the lighting acting up on you. So that's why we thought this was an Octopus MK3. Not totally out of the ordinary for John to maybe per se, let's do the slapback, then the chorus, and then the longer delay. It's not really that common to do it that way, but it's possible. He might have done it that way for this performance, who knows? And that's what we initially thought. Now, when Greg Flanges posted this picture, things changed, and we started thinking, you look at that pedal and instantly go, oh, that's the Smoky Signal tubeless overdrive. The color, and from that picture, the knobs appear to be the right side, and obviously that fourth knob's going to be on the side that you can't see. And you could be forgiven to think that this is the Smoky Signal tubeless overdrive because where it sits after the TS10 makes sense. It's how John ran it before, and it's a pedal he's even used with the Dead & Company and for quite a while now, religiously since 2019. But there are a few issues with this theory of it being the Smoky Signal tubeless overdrive. The first one being the size of the pedal. The Smoky Signal is bigger than the pedal that's on this pedal board. My friend the London guitarist also pointed out when we were discussing this that there's a beveling and also a lip on the front, kind of bottom of the Smoky Signal that when you look at this picture from Greg here, even though it's super blurry, you can't see it, and there even should be at least a bit of shadow cast on the front of the pedal from these edges on the pedal. It's not there. Last nail in the coffin for it being a Smoky Signal is of course the jacks, as you can see now on your screen, are clearly top mounted, not side mounted, which the Smoky Signal has. And initially when we saw this picture from Greg, we were like, oh wow, it's a Smoky Signal. Glad we figured that out and the case is solved. And after a few second glances and a further analyzation, that's clearly not what the pedal is, unfortunately. So now the mystery is kind of wide open again. Going back to it being a smaller enclosure size, almost like the Way Huge Smalls one, the question brought up of it being a J-Rocket Archer. Now, I initially was very against it being a J-Rocket Archer because it didn't make sense, but when we further discussed it as kind of a little team and a group with some of my friends, and Alejandro from John Mayer Gear Lounge being one of them, we figured that John has used the JHS Bonsai before, the TS10 clone, when he clearly has the means and probably the amount of them to just use it whenever. So why is this any different for him using a clone for just one performance instead of using his regular clone, using the J-Rocket Archer instead? Now, this is possible because of the way the pedal is in that kind of silvery to gold color depending on the lighting, we kind of figure. I don't know, it's kind of a mystery and we're most likely not going to know until we get better pictures or a further confirmation. So, I'm sorry you guys, one mystery pedal that we haven't quite figured out yet on this pedal board, but it's nice to know everything else that's on the board and theorize what this pedal might be. The second pedal board we're going to be going over is the one that John had in the studio when he was chatting with Zane Lowe for the Apple Music interview on Sob Rock. Of course, the pedal board, you never get a point blank look at it, but you can see it poking out from underneath the chair and between the legs of the chair that John's sitting on. And I know my friend Omega OJM on My Stupid Mouth Forum got a few really good screen grabs, and I was looking and tried to get a couple more as well, and you pretty much are able to piece together what we believe to be the entire pedal board. Now, this pedal board starts off the exact same as the Last Train Home pedal board. You have a Polytune going into the 29 pedals Una again. So clearly John is liking this Una because this is the second separate board we've seen it on now at this point. After the Una, we go into a V1 Keeley Katana, either a V1.0 or a V1.1, if you've watched my guide on the Keeley Katana that I just posted a few days ago. After the Keeley Katana, we move to the TS10. You don't get a full look at the TS10, but clearly from the side profile of this pedal, that's nothing other than the TS10. It's 100% that pedal. Moving up to the second row, we get the Boss OC3 making another appearance back on a board of John's. We go to the Black Boss CE2. Then you actually have the Way Huge Aquapus MK2, because you can clearly see the battery cover on the bottom as the dead giveaway that that's the MK2. And then you see a flash of pink on a pedal and a bit of a sticker on the bottom of it, which clearly is the Providence Chrono Delay, and that sticker on the bottom is their Vitalizer logo that they put on the pedal. I'll put a picture of what that looks like up on the screen right now. So for sure, that's what's on the pedal board. Now, you could possibly have actually more pedals further down the board depending on the size of it, and if I had to take a guess of what might also be on the board, if anything is actually on it that we can't see, probably the Strymon Flint after the Providence Chrono, and then possibly that mystery pedal from the Last Train Home performance, his Black Klon, or something along those lines might be there that you can't see. But for all intents and purposes, let's just say this is everything that is on the pedal board. Alright, we're almost done here. The third pedal board we're talking about is actually not part of John's own personal solo tour and promotion for Sob Rock. It's the pedal board he used with JP Saxe on the Colbert show. So that's why I'm leaving it for last, because it's the least important to John's actual core sound with the new album coming out. Now this pedal board again does have some similarities from the past two pedal boards that we were looking at. Starts off with another Polytune and the 29 pedals Una again. Starts off that way. We again then, from the one with Zane Lowe on the Apple Music interview, have a V1 Keeley Katana, because you can see the white pedal with that blue LED going into a TS10. So the same formula more or less starting off this pedal board. Now after the TS10 we get into something that looks a bit strange. It appears to be a gray pedal with cream colored knobs. And the only pedal that John has used that looks like that in the past that really brings to mind is the Source Audio True Spring Reverb. Now this pedal might not necessarily be here in the chain, but it might just be physically here because maybe John needed to activate it or turn it on and off during the performance, and it was easier to have it on the first row instead of the back row. Moving on to the very back row, there appears to be a longer black pedal on the very far right if you're facing directly on the pedal board standing where John is. That could be the black Klon that he's been using, and that's a very likely option. If it's up there, it's in a very weird spot, but we're just kind of guessing and theorizing the most likely option at this point. Now after the black pedal that we theorize to be the black Klon is another pedal that we're not 100% sure on what it is. Now depending on what you see when you look at that, you might see an MK1 or MK2 Octopus. You might see 3 black knobs and a pedal that could possibly have a tint of blue to it. Or you could be seeing multiple knobs, and here's where there's been some debate with a lot of people I've been chatting about what this pedal actually might be. There is another strong theory between us that this could be a universal audio pedal, one of the new 3 that they've recently released. Now, if you want my opinion, I don't believe this would be the golden, as John has the Source Audio True Spring Reverb potentially on the board, and this just is not the correct signal chain position for it. Physically speaking, even, it doesn't make sense. So this either could be the Astra or the Starlight. Maybe he's got some modulation that he wants on there, or a different delay setting, because next comes the Providence Chrono. So you could have 2 different delays going and just be experimenting with a new delay pedal for one performance. You never know. And then after that Providence Chrono, again, clearly another staple that's forming for John's main delay sound, you have what appears to be a black pedal, which I think is the Boss CE2. Not 100% sure on that one. It's so hard to tell with the lighting and the limited angles you get for this performance. So I'm sorry guys for the JP Saxe performance. We don't quite know what is fully on this pedal board, but as I mentioned, this is for him backing JP Saxe and not part of the actual Sob Rock promotional tour or anything like that. So it's not really that important for John's main signature tone. What is important are the 2 previous pedal boards that we mentioned, because those are actually for Sob Rock and for the new material that we are hearing, and possibly leading into John's solo tour. Coming up, we might have some examples of pedals he's testing out and might be using in the future. So focus on those 2. I just thought as a bonus I'd go over the JP Saxe pedal board as best as we honestly really can right now. And there you guys have it. That is an analysis on 3 different pedal boards that we've seen from John surrounding the release of Sob Rock. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you've still been watching it up to this point, thank you so much for the support. Please give this video a thumbs up if you learned something. Please go check out Alejandro's post on John Mayer gear that's out now. Please hit subscribe and ring that bell notification button for any other videos I'm going to be posting in the near future. And until the next one, you guys, Sob Rock on.